So, the new One Piece chapter has just dropped, and clearly Oda is unstoppable this year, as he just keeps bringing out amazing chapter after amazing chapter. I did see a lot of videos about the spoilers in the last few days, and I was going to cover them as well, but the leakers and other pages were basically pleading with the internet to not cover the spoilers and to not post it on social media. So I wanted to respect that, and I waited for the chapter to fully release beforehand. And the reason why this was the case is because we are discovering answers to very long-standing mysteries and lore about the One Piece world. This chapter is insane and I cannot wait to get into it. And as always, stick to the end as we will discuss theories and discussions for future chapters. But quickly before we get into the new chapter, we're just going to cover the most important parts of the previous one to catch people up on what has happened so far during the flashback. Saint Saturn easily heals from the sword wound and captures Bonnie while incapacitating Sanji. He tries to eliminate Luffy, but Frankie saves him. Saint Saturn then finally reveals that Kuma is a part of the Buccaneer people, and it makes Bonnie remember what her father said about Joy Boy, and a flashback of Kuma's past occurs. Kuma was raised as a slave of the world nobles, where we see him beat all the time, and both of his parents unfortunately die. He was placed in a hunting tournament, with that year's site being God Valley, which is where he first met Ivankov and a new character called Ginny. We also meet a younger version of Figureland Garling, who looks suspiciously like Shanks. The previous chapter ends there, and now we get into the unbelievably insane new chapter 1096, which is called Kumachi. Still in the flashback, we start off with the natives of God Valley fleeing from the Celestial Dragons. Commentators on the Rabbit Hunt explain the rules of their sick and twisted tournament.
Shh. Be very quiet. I'm hunting rabbits.
There are several special rabbits, with each worth being 10,000 points, and a single hit kill also earning a skill bonus. Garling and several others taunt each other whilst the natives run and scream for their lives. A couple of celestial dragons have already fired several shots, but are then berated by the commentators, who then tells us that there are 200 nobles participating in the game. As the game prepares to begin, we switch to Navy HQ, where Fleet Admiral Kong asks Garp to head to God Valley, as there is a disaster reported to happen there. It is revealed that the Celestial Dragons may have stolen the crown jewel from the pirate island Hachinosu, in which the pirates there will definitely try and get it back. Garp is reluctant, but when Kong says that Roger will be there, he immediately jumps to action. We swiftly flip to Hachinosu, where pirates announce that the Rocks Pirates have already set sail, which will shake the pirate world to its core. And switching back to God Valley, we see Ivankov describing how he has never seen so many ships gathered around one island, and that they are trapped, and that this event will be lost in history. He continues that the Celestial Dragons only chose this place due to its natural resources, and the 10,000 civilians have been branded as rabbits for the hunt. Not a single one will still be alive in 3 weeks, and shouts that this isn't fair. Wounded civilians are gathered around, and one of them states that the Celestial Dragons told them that they'd be free if they survived the entire 3 weeks. But Eva retorts that there have been 0 survivors in previous hunts, and that they lied because they want to kill people who haven't given up so that they have a good hunt. Which is unbelievably sick and twisted. We already knew that the Celestial Dragons were horrible by keeping slaves and killing whoever they liked, but murdering an entire native population, including women and children, is just pure evil. Oda just keeps making us hate them even more than we already do. Garling is then seen already raring to go, easily gathering 10,000 points by targeting the high value civilians. Now this section of the chapter is insane. We move on to a fisherman biting the chains off of Ivankov, and Ginny using Denden Mushis to find out about the prizes of the tournament. And the prizes are almost exactly what people were speculating them to be. One of them is the Azure Dragon Devil Fruit, which is Kaido's current Devil Fruit, confirming that he did receive it from God Valley. and that the other one is the pawpaw fruit, which Kuma clearly got in order to escape being a slave. Eva then states that if any one of them ate one of those devil fruits, they would all be able to escape. Another civilian says it's impossible as the fruits are kept at the very center of the island, but Ginny reveals that she is a pro thief and managed to leak all the information to the outside world. Kuma jumps in saying he will help as his size helps him survive, and Ginny and Eva are both impressed and vow to escape the island altogether. Now here we get to the part we were waiting for the most. The Rocks Pirates reveal. The 10-year-long promise that we've been hoping to get this entire time. The events of God Valley between the pirates and the Marines. And getting into it, the Marines spot a ship exploding just off the island and notices the Rocks pirate flag. They fire, but it does nothing to stop their ship from barging through. And we get the sickest panel spread of the Rocks pirates preparing for battle. Rocks himself isn't there as he rushed on ahead, but most or all of the members are shown here, including a few new ones that we didn't know were part of the Rocks pirates. We first see Buckingham Stussy clinging to Whitebeard, potentially confirming the rumours that maybe Weevil is in fact his son, or a clone that went wrong, because it is kind of hard to believe that someone as glorious as Whitebeard could create something like Weevil. But we also see Gloriosa, the former Empress of Amazon Lily, and the woman who adopted and raised Boa Hancock. We may get to see the unnamed individual with who she fell in love with, and that made her choose to leave Amazon Lily. But I really didn't expect her to see on Rox's crew, as it hadn't been confirmed at all. And the third member we see is Shiki, the Golden Lion, wielding 2 swords. Finally, a good introduction to him in the manga since the movie Strong World. Now, Strong World is a very good movie, but I'm very glad it is non-canon, since it's not a particularly good representation of Shiki and how powerful he is. Because in the manga, Shiki is meant to be considered one of Roger's greatest rivals, and Luffy beat him pre-time skip without Haki. So thankfully we can just ignore the events of that film and get to see Shiki's true power. And the 4th member is Captain John, drinking away per usual. We first saw him in Thriller Bark, where his corpse was found by Dr. Hogback and modified into one of the general zombies for Gecko Moria. And the final few members, we have Lin Lin or Big Mom and Kaido in the back bantering per usual. And it's so cool to see their younger selves, since we've spent the last few arcs with them as the big major villains, and it really just shows how far our Straw Hats have come and that we are closing in on the endgame here. A few honourable mentions for crewmates whose names aren't revealed is the Fishman next to Whitebeard, this really badly drawn stick figure who seems important as he has an interesting design, and these 2 faces who are clearly meant to be slightly more important than the rabble. There are 2 confirmed names of the Rocks Pirates who haven't been identified yet, and these names are Ochoku and Silver Axe. Nothing is really known about Silver Axe and Ochoku, but Ochoku is the one who was the previous ruler of Hachinosu before Blackbeard defeated him and took over, becoming the island's current ruler. But let me know in the comments below which one you think is which and what their names could be. We then see this beautiful panel lineup of most of the Rocks Pirates, and their dialogue just proves further that they had a poor relationship with each other and a lack of camaraderie that led them to being at each other's throats all the time. But moving on, the Rocks crew then make landfall and the Marines are left questioning how this event was leaked while the Celestial Dragons are furious. Then, unexpectedly, the Roger Pirates turn up, completed with, from what I could see, Rayleigh, Scopper, Sunbell, Yui, and Millet Pine all in tow. Garling and his God's Knights prepare for battle as they face against the incoming pirates. And in the same pages, Garp and his crew also land, boosting the Marines' morale, although Garp himself is completely intent on aiming for Roger. And yes, we also see the man, the myth, the legend, Bogard. He was in fact on God Valley, and I'm sure he single-handedly defeated the Rocks Pirates. And while all this mayhem is going on, Eva and Kuma find the devil fruit. But just before Ivankov eats the Azure Dragon fruit, Big Mom breaks through a wall, grabbing Eva and the fruit. She turns to grab the pawpaw fruit from Kuma, but he eats it before she can get her hands on it. However, After eating the devil fruit, Saint Garcia Saturn appears, using his power to incapacitate Kuma. And surrounded by black flames and lightning, Saturn comments on Kuma's lineage, saying how either dying or living as a slave are the only two things his kind can do. Kuma, however, pushes himself up and states how he doesn't understand how someone can be born more important than others, and if he's born a slave then there's no point in being born at all. And he continues that if he has this new power, he's going to try and save as many people as possible, just like Nika. Saturn, seemingly furious, now says that this is why his people need to be erased, and unfortunately we cut to a wider view of the island with Roger and Rox suggesting that they get into a fight, and the narrator stating that this incident was lost to the shadows of history, and cutting to the Sorbet Kingdom with Ginny, Kuma and Eva somehow escaping from the island. Oda, why? Please, give us more. We only just got a taste of the events of God Valley. I wanted to see Rox and Roger fight, and there's so many questions left unanswered, like how they found Shanks, how Roger and Garp beat Rox, and the violent breakup of that crew, and what was left of God Valley at the end. I really hope that Oda reveals him later down the line, otherwise we're just going to have to continue speculating, as Oda drip feeds us his clearly heroine-laced story since we can't get enough. But in all fairness, we do have to be happy with what we got. We did get a lot of answers, like what God Valley actually was, how the events that led up to the fight started, and how it eventually ended, as well as some more members of Rock's crew, and how Kuma and Kaido both got their devil fruits. This will keep us going for some time, and may be good to get back to the current story with Saturn and Luffy. The rest of the chapter is a warm welcome and a good change of pace, with Ginny, Eva and Kuma talking about how Kuma saved over 500 people, with both Eva and Ginny being extremely grateful, and Ivankov stating Kuma's hands are hands of liberation. Eva does eventually decide to leave, to bask in his newfound freedom, while Ginny stays with Kuma living in a church, and they immediately get to work to be able to buy food. A few kids throw rocks at Kuma passing by, but Ginny quickly beats them up. However, Kuma, being the kind and caring person he is, heals their wounds with the pawpaw fruit and is praised for his power. And if you didn't know, these two kids are actually seen joining Bonnie's crew, and it's a perfect little tie-in to Ginny and Kuma's relationship with Bonnie. And in the final panels of the chapter, we see Kuma and Ginny at dinner, bonding over their freedom and ability to eat as much as they want, with them bursting into tears of happiness at the end. The chapter concludes on a cheerful and positive note. When compared to what they faced when they were younger and the rest of the slaves, the last panels were truly beautiful, but also bittersweet since we know what happens to Kuma and his family in the present. And this practically does confirm that Bonnie is both Kuma and Ginny's kid, although I'm not sure what happens to Ginny later in life. And these questions about Ginny have been left unanswered, like the big one is how she died. And Oda frequently uses the "she died during childbirth" scenario, so it could possibly be that. And the other unanswered question is how Kuma decided to become a cyborg. What pushed him to make that decision? And in my point of view, it could be the death of Ginny that became a catalyst for Kuma to strike a deal with Vegapunk and become the very cyborg he is today. But we don't know yet, and I'm sure we'll find out as the story unfolds. We still have the memories that Bonnie saw in Kuma's mind, and that will probably hold a key detail in the events that occurred after. But overall, this chapter is amazing. It was insanely exciting, exposing so much information while also keeping us on our toes as we discover more about Kuma and his background. I do believe that the next chapter will return to the present with Saturn's arrival on the island, and something will undoubtedly occur that will allow Luffy and his crew to flee. So it's coming to the end of this video, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching my video on this channel. I plan on continuing doing chapter reviews, but also every now and again produce creative content where I'll go in depth in anime that I like or topics I want to talk about. Thank you guys again though, please like and subscribe so I can make future videos, and if I get 200 subscribers by Christmas, I'll make a Discord and other social media so we can chat about anime and manga topics together. Okay, see ya!